From American Falls to Malad, we've got the biggest stories in District 5 covered. This is the Southeast Idaho Prepcast with Jordan Kaye.
That's right. It is another edition of the Southeast Idaho Prepcast from IdahoSports.com. Brandon Baney joined by Jordan Kaye from the Idaho State Journal in Pocatello. Jordan, how are you?
Just hanging in there, you?
Yeah, about the same. We got a little snow in eastern Idaho.
Yeah, not a fan. But, okay.
Well, I'll tell you, it's probably nice for you. You have an apartment, which means you don't have to worry about shoveling or anything like that, right?
No, I'm glad. Yeah, that is one of the big reasons to not have a house at my age. Don't have to rake leaves. Don't have to shovel snow. You know, I can avoid all those hassles, which is nice.
That's right. That big city apartment life that Jordan's living in Pocatello, Idaho.
Big city Pocatello.
Yeah, for sure. The Southeast Idaho Prepcast is brought to you by Pure Adrenaline Motorsports, your source for pulse-pounding adrenaline sports apparel and accessories that ensure you have what you need to unleash your inner beast. Let's talk about you. You are busy at the ISJ, right? Not just high school stuff, but Idaho State University as well. How about those Bengals on the football field?
I did not expect that. They beat number 7 UC Davis. Somehow Idaho State went 0-4, then just flipped everything around, started looking, like a really, creative football team. Had interesting play calls, a defense that was attacking the ball. Just a complete shift from the first 4 games. And now they face Portland State this week. We'll see if they can keep up their momentum a little bit.
That should be a nice layup for ISU. Portland State is not good.
Yeah.
So, and to be honest, I thought UC Davis was a little overrated as well. So
probably a little bit. Yeah, they were 5-0, and I don't know who they hadn't played too many teams. I guess Tulsa, but they don't look
right. They beat Weber too. They beat Weber State, but that was a game that could have gone either way. Weber had their chances, and so, yeah, anyways, Big Sky Conference football, obviously keeping you busy. And also this time of year, the postseason has arrived. And so you've been doing a nice job of recapping all of the postseason soccer action that's going on. There are 2 champions already crowned in Southeast Idaho from District 5, one on the boys' side, one on the girls' side, two of the earliest teams to clinch spots at state.
Yeah, American Falls boys soccer claimed it yesterday. They made state last year, had a kind of a tough stretch, though. I think they had to go up to Post Falls. They ended up playing games, and it was just their ankles were knee-deep in snow. And it was not – I guess ankles can't be knee-deep. They were ankle-deep in snow. That was a tough one. But the interesting thing about that is, that 3A District 5, they get 1.5 bids to state. So Marsh Valley will actually play on Saturday against a District 6 team at Blackfoot High, I think at 3 p.m. And so whoever wins that will also get into state. And the way it looks right now for American Falls, I think they'll probably be the number 2 seed, if I'm not mistaken, in that 3A bracket. So, they've got a good shot of advancing and, making a run in state. Then on the girls' side, Marsh Valley won 3A, and they've just been a juggernaut all season. I think they've lost 1 game. Just a fantastic goal-scoring team. It seemed like kind of a mismatch most of the times they played 3A competition. So yeah, I expect them to probably, be the favorites almost in 3A to win state, if not, at least make the championship game. So 2 teams that look really good so far heading into the state tournament.
Yeah, and of course the Highland girls still undefeated. Will be playing for the 5A District 5 and 6 championship, and then those 3-team 4A battles between Pokey, Preston, and Century. It's been pretty wild to follow that action so far.
No, all those games are super close, and right now I think actually tonight it's going to be Pocatello on the boys' side. It's Pocatello at Preston. So Preston just needs to win 1, and they get their berth to state. Pocatello would need to win 2. And then it's exactly flipped on the girls' side. Preston plays at Pocatello, and the Indians will need to win 2 to get to state. Pocatello just needs to win 1. And so that district is so tight, and it's kind of a shame that only 1 team gets to get in from them, because I think, they could probably get an at-large if that's how it worked. But it's not, and they'll kind of have to compete tonight and see, if they can keep their season going a little longer if the state bid will be, decided tonight.
Yeah, opening game of the 4A districts on the boys' side, Pokey and Century went to penalty kicks, right?
Yeah, and then actually on Tuesday or a Monday night, they went into overtime again, and then it was like a junior, Braden Magnuson got a goal in the golden goal in the second overtime. So, those have been just insanely tight, which is very odd given Century has just kind of had Pocatello's number all year, even though the records are a little different.
Right. So yeah, once you get to the postseason, there's overtime. There's a second overtime, and then if it's not settled by then we go to penalty kicks. So you're starting to see that more and more.
Well, I think with those overtimes, it's like just technically one overtime period, but it's split into 2 10-minute halves. So I guess that's technically 2 overtimes, or if it's, I don't know how you would call it.
Yeah, I guess, maybe one overtime period, I guess. And then,
Sure, it is weird. I hate things being decided by penalty kicks. So I'm all for, longer overtime, see if you can get it, actually score a real goal and not do these arbitrary, 10-meter kicks or whatever it is.
Yeah, no coach wants a match to come down to penalty kicks. That's for sure. So, yeah. So that's kind of the soccer landscape. By this time next week, Jordan, we're going to be able to preview state. We're going to talk about all the teams that are going to represent District 5. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm excited. Finally.
Yeah, it'll be good. Football starting to heat up as well. Of course, district play started last week. Finally at the 4A level, Preston with a statement. I thought a 32-0 shutout victory over Century, but Pocatello delivered a statement of its own in a non-conference game, defeating previously unbeaten Shelley 42-28. Shelley's now lost 2 in a row. I think they've kind of lost their way, but Preston and Pocatello both looked really strong last week in football.
No, those were huge wins. I wasn't too surprised by the Preston outcome. Century fumbled the ball a lot. They're a young team, had some injury troubles, and Preston should have taken care of business, and they did. The Pocatello one, though, I was a little more surprised at. It seemed like both teams were trending in opposite directions. People were really high on Shelley. They were ranked highly. Pocatello, on the other hand, had lost, 2 games to 5A opponents, and people, seemed to not be thinking as highly of them. But still, they're now undefeated still in 4A competition. They looked extremely good against the Shelley team that a lot of people really thought highly of. And now they go into this Preston game with a lot of momentum. Actually, both teams do. And the good thing is, it's going to be indoors. We don't have to worry about the mud or the rain or snow or anything like that. So I'm excited for that matchup. That's pretty much whoever wins that game is going to be the state tournament. Heck, they could be the number 1 seed, however it works out. 1,
That's
2,
right.
3. So, it's huge just for seeding. I think both teams are going to make state regardless of what happens, but you don't want to be playing, you don't want a tough first game. So whoever wins that will probably have a cupcake early on, can easily move on to the quarterfinals. But yeah, that's going to be kind of both teams at their peak. We'll see how it goes.
That's right. We talk about the Max Preps ratings that are used to seed the teams 1 through 16, except for those 5 conference champions automatically get the top 5 spots. Pocatello, if the playoffs started this week, would be the number 1 seed. How exciting is that?
Wow. And that's just based off the Max Prep rankings?
Yes.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, right now in 4A football in the state of Idaho, Pocatello has taken the top spot regardless of conference champion or not. So it's been pretty interesting to chart their progress. Obviously, defeating Shelley was a nice win for them. And then also their ability now to play Preston, a team that's also put up a nice record that could also really boost them and make sure they hang on to that number 1 spot. They're 11th in the entire state, number 1 in the 4A classification in Max Preps ratings. So it's exciting for the Thunder. For sure.
It really is. And they got Ryan Payne back too last week, and he was just fantastic. Actually, that whole team was unreal. I think Payne had, he had a shoulder injury going, missed like the last 4 weeks or something like that since the Highland game, and he had 220 yards, 4 touchdowns, completed 60% of his passes, and Julian Bowie, their sophomore receiver, big, tall kid who, really known for his basketball, came on that Highland game. He had, 2 touchdowns, 142 yards, 8 catches. And then their running game has just been fantastic. You got Reich and Echohawk as a sophomore. He puts up, 280 yards, almost 300 yards against a team that people think are really good. And, you look at all that firepower that Pocatello has. I don't know if Preston's going to be able to match it, but the thing Preston has going for it is just a really good offensive and defensive line. Pocatello's has been solid, but Preston is a big team that can be really physical in the trenches, and we'll see if Pocatello can kind of match that on Friday.
Yeah, that's going to be a fantastic matchup. Is that where you're going to be at, Jordan?
Yes, at Holt Arena. So I'm excited. Get to stay indoors, all warm, nice, hash marks. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, this time of year, that's not a bad place to be.
Nope.
Okay, so last Friday, the game you decided to go to, because we've talked about you're a sports staff of one at the Idaho State Journal, so you kind of get Jordan's game of the week, and you go to one game in person, and you write a really nice recap. And I thought you made the correct choice this past week in going to the Marsh Valley Snake River contest. And I have to admit, I was pretty surprised by the outcome in this one. Marsh Valley wins 26-7. What is your analysis from that game?
I don't think you can take too much from that game. I mean, it was just the sloppiest thing I've ever seen. It's tough to tell. I will say Marsh Valley was extremely disciplined, just made all the correct reads, adjusted on the fly. I mean, that's a team that's used Peyton Howe, their wide receiver, and turned him into one of the better 3A receivers in the whole state. And Snake River really shut him down early. It was also wet and rainy, so the passing game's not going to be as good. And they shifted extremely well. Michael Belknap started getting a lot more carries. He was running the ball really well. Hunter Roche, their quarterback, started taking more carries. He, scampered, I think, for like a 71-yard something touchdown that really you blew the game open in the second half. And so they showed that they could win multiple ways. But, Snake River fumbled the ball like 4 times. And if you want to, put that as an indictment on them, do it. But, it was a rainy game, and they had, I think, like 3 possessions where they fumbled or were intercepted, like on the first snap. The first play of the game, they fumbled. All of a sudden, Marsh Valley's got the ball in the red zone. The Snake River muffed a punt. All of a sudden, Marsh Valley's got the ball in the red zone. Another fumble, red zone. Marsh Valley, every time they scored, it seemed like, except for that Roach touchdown, we're just in like perfect field position. So, it seemed like Snake River kind of almost just gave the game away. And I don't know if it's a huge reflection of exactly how the two teams are matched. If they played in Holt Arena on a dry night, I think we could tell a lot more about both teams. But it was so tough. I don't know if you can, make a case either way.
Okay. One of those games where sometimes weather happens and you chalk it up to the elements. It's funny you mentioned Holt Arena because that is where Marsh Valley is headed.
Both teams, actually.
Yeah. Oh, Snake River is going to be in Holt Arena as well.
Yeah. So I think Gooding at Marsh Valley is the first game on Thursday night. And then American Falls Snake River is the second game. It's going to be like a Thursday night doubleheader in Holt Arena. So that'll be cool.
Yeah. Now, are you going to be there for that as well, Jordan?
Yes. Going to try and hit both of them.
Okay. So let's talk about Marsh Valley first. This is going to be a good measuring stick. Gooding is the 3rd ranked team in 3A. They are undefeated. You'll finally get to see the University of Michigan commit, Colston Loveland, up close and personal, the Gooding tight end. It's going to be a good game.
Yeah. Wow. I totally forgot about that. I remember seeing him and just didn't, I guess, put 2 and 2 together. All right, cool.
Yeah.
That's sweet now.
I heard a rumor that the Harbaughs are actually going to be at that game, Jordan. So
I don't believe that.
No, I seriously did. We do the Magic Valley Prepcast each week where we talk about Twin Falls area District 4 stuff with Scott Burton, and he was talking to some of the Gooding coaches, and it sounded like the Harbaughs were going to be there. So
wow, already.
You have to keep an eye out.
I guess I will now. Yeah, we'll see if they make the trek to Holt Arena. Okay, well that'll be pretty cool. This is going to be a real litmus test for Marsh Valley. They won a really big game against Snake River. They're now in the driver's seat of that conference, but this is going to see how they really stack up in terms of the entire 3A landscape in the state, not just District 5. We can, I don't know if they have the height, I guess, to compete with, a Michigan commit, but Peyton Howe is a pretty solid, cornerback on the outside. He had another pick against Snake River, a timely one too. He had 3 the week before against South Fremont and Keeman Peebles. So I think they've got the athletes to, make a run, but, do they, have the height and size to really match up? We'll see.
Yeah, that'll be a good matchup. And then, honestly, the second game will be more important, I think, because basically this is a playoff game, right? Second place from District 5 gets a playoff spot. Third place does not, right? So, I mean, now you're talking about Snake River season on the line here against American Falls.
Yeah, and, the Jeb Harrison, the Snake River coach, was very aware of that after the game. He was like, hey, this loss sucks. We thought we had prepared for the rain. We were dousing the balls in water, during every practice snap. But hey, we still have a chance to keep our season alive. All we need to do is beat American Falls. That's the goal now. And I think that's kind of the right message is, hey, we had a tough game on Friday. All it's going to take, though, is one win against an American Falls team. And you can really turn your season, keep it going at least. You might not have the greatest playoff ranking, might not have the best matchup in the first round, but your season's alive. You lose to American Falls, I mean, you can mark the end date of your year, and you don't exactly want that. For American Falls, I mean, this is their first district game. I mean, all you've got to do, you can tell your team, hey, we control our entire destiny. We beat Snake River. We beat Marsh Valley. We win the conference. Heck, we beat one of these teams. Well, I guess you would have to beat Snake River. Beat Snake River, you're in second place. You're going to state. I mean, it's a pretty, if you want to talk about getting up for a game, this is a pretty easy, pitch to your guys. Hey, this is all we need to keep our season alive. So that's going to be really interesting when you've got stakes that are that defined. It's a pretty cool game. The last time we saw American Falls was that Aberdeen game, week 1. Since then, they've rattled off a couple wins, and I'm excited to see their progress, weeks later.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch both of those games. I'm excited to read your recaps of them in the Idaho State Journal. You can read that online as well at IdahoStateJournal.com. 2A ranks, the big game was Aberdeen. They fell North Fremont 44-18. North Fremont still undefeated. Now they have to turn around and play Westside this week. So you're talking about in back-to-back weeks, Aberdeen playing maybe the 2 best teams in the state in terms of 2A football. Yeah,
it's not an easy look. Though I will say for Aberdeen's sake, Brody Beck was out with an injury. So, as bad as the score looks, they weren't at, full power. So, I think that's probably an easier loss to handle. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to play against Westside, but that's another game where it's, I don't know. What do you expect? I mean, the whole year the Aberdeen players really were looking forward to this game. This is their big test. Can we beat Westside? Can we, really take control of 2A District 5? I don't know if they're going to be able to do it, but even if they don't, they still got a good shot at state. Just win your other conference games and you're in the tournament. No one's kind of expecting them to win this game, and they don't need to keep their season going.
Right. Kind of playing with house money a little bit for Aberdeen.
Yeah, that's how I would look at it, at least.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, now here's an interesting development from District 5 in 2A football, Jordan. Right now in the Max Preps ratings, the way the 2A bracket works is the 5 conference champs automatically get in for 2A, and then the remaining spots are all at large, right? We saw every single team from District 5 make the playoffs last year because of that. I'll tell you right now, when you look at the Max Preps ratings for 2A football, Bear Lake is ranked 6th in the entire state for 2A football, despite being just 3-3. So if Bear Lake can continue to show up and get the wins they're supposed to, we're all of a sudden talking about Bear Lake probably making the playoffs.
Wow. I did not realize that, but I will say, 2 of their losses, as bad as, a 3-3 record is to Westside, the number 1 team who hasn't lost a game, and Firth, who's the number 2 team and has only lost 1 game. And the way we know about the Max Prep rankings is it, rewards you for kind of losing to teams with good records. And so, as bad as, Bear Lake probably doesn't want to be 500, but those are some good teams to lose to, I guess.
Well, and their third loss was to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Jackson is 6-1, and their only loss was to Pocatello.
Yeah, that's kind of a nice little way to be 3-3. So yeah, I mean, Bear Lake has firepower. I mean, they're a really pass heavy team that has good athletes. And if you're going to be 3-3, that's not a bad 3 losses to have.
Yep, for sure. And they play Malad this week. Let me double check that. They play Soda Springs. Sorry, Soda Springs.
Yeah, another winnable. That's a winnable game.
Yep, for sure. Got to win the ones that you're supposed to at this point of the season. All right, 2 things before we duck out of here, Jordan. I wanted to give a special shout out to North Gem. They continue to excel. They had a big conference game with Water Springs. They won that going away 62-24. But in the process, Bridger Hatch, senior quarterback for North Gem, ran for 442 yards and 6 touchdowns. The 442 yards is a new school record.
Really?
Yes.
Did not realize that. Yeah. And he had 6 touchdowns. He had 6 touchdowns last week, which means he has now a dozen in the last 2 weeks. I mean, he's unreal. Watching them is so fun. I was so happy to go out there last week. And we'll have a story on Bridger Hatch in the Friday edition of the Idaho State Journal. So look out for that one.
Yeah, Bridger averaged 21 yards per carry.
That's incredible.
That game. Yeah, pretty efficient. So
yeah.
Way to go, North Gem. They continue to be awesome. They're playing Mackey this week. Mackey is winless. They're struggling with numbers right now.
Yeah.
North Gem should be 6-1. Okay, and then the big matchup this Friday night on IdahoSports.com, Jordan. It is the game that fans in East Idaho have been waiting for. I'm going to be there broadcasting it in Rigby. It is Highland. It is Rigby. Give us the breakdown.
I don't know a ton about Rigby. Haven't seen him play since last year. But Tiger Adolfo is unreal. Watching his highlights, watching him last year, a recent Weber State commit, it's going to be the best quarterback that Highland has faced all season long. He's going to cause, a ton of problems for that secondary, and it's going to be interesting. I think the real key matchup is, can the Highland front 7, can Cody Colgan and Sloan Lamson and Drew Roberts, can they cause, disruption to Tiger Adolfo? Can they cause him to, have breakdowns, to not be able to roll out, to not see his receivers downfield? And if Highland's defensive line is, as good as we think it is that going to be enough to shut him down, to shut down that Rigby offense? I mean, Rigby's got, one of the better offensive lines in the state, if not the best. They've got weapons on the outside. They've got maybe the best quarterback in the state. I just don't know if, Highland has the athletes to do it. I mean, it seems like their defense has been, better than advertised, but Rigby's a different beast. They've just taken care of every opponent they've seen this year. I mean, you probably know more about Rigby. I mean, how do you think that matchup goes?
Yeah, so I've seen Rigby twice this year. I did the Post Falls game way back in September, and then I did the Blackfoot game last week.
Yeah.
Rigby's defensive line is for real. They were pressuring Jackson Grimmett from Blackfoot pretty consistently, to the point where they just started rolling him out to try and avoid the rush. So that front 7 for Rigby is good. I know Highland's offensive line is also really good, though, so that's going to be a fun matchup. And then I think when you flip it, Highland's big strength this year has been the defensive line.
Yeah.
Rigby's big strength on offense has been their offensive line. And Rigby, they would prefer to just run it down your throat with Zeke Falavai and Tiger Adolfo. And that's really where the game was won against Blackfoot last week, was Tiger Adolfo running the football, but dropping back to pass, not seeing anything, and taking off and running. So if Highland can keep him contained and keep him immobile in the pocket, I think the Rams have a chance.
Yeah, and I think that's probably where you look to the linebacking unit of Highland. Mason Fulmer has been fantastic this year, just a really versatile junior. Maybe do they put him as a spy on Tiger Adolfo and just be like, okay, here's your job, follow him around. If he goes to the bathroom, you're flushing for him. Just figure out everywhere he goes, you're right next to him. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. I know last year, I thought Highland was the better team, just had a few critical errors. There was a dropped pass in the end zone, a muff punt late in the game. Errors like that against a Rigby team, you're not going to win. And I think Highland knows that. They've got to play, maybe not a perfect game, but, near perfect to pull it off.
Yep, for sure. So that's this Friday from Rigby, Highland against Rigby. I'll be there for the call on IdahoSports.com. That's going to be a lot of fun. Jordan, enjoy all the football action you're going to take in this week as well. It's going to be exciting.
I'm very excited and very excited to be indoors. So that's a nice thing.
For sure. Well, that'll do it for this edition of the Southeast Idaho Prepcast. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. It's brought to you by Pure Adrenaline Motorsports, your source for pulse-pounding adrenaline sports apparel and accessories that ensure you have what you need to unleash your inner beast. For Jordan Kaye, I'm Brandon Baney. We'll see you next time on IdahoSports.com.